Hey, Don here. Okay, back with another live stream. Gotta get working on stream before I get. Okay, I've got my laptop moved over out of the way because I'm going to be pulling out my RedBlackBioStar. This one again. I put a fan in it, a used fan that seemed to work just fine a week or so ago, and today, while I was asleep, I was actually been up all night and sleeping in the day lately, so it was during the afternoon. Started making a horrible noise. Actually, I was up having, woke up, had to go to the bathroom and stuff. It shut itself down. And I thought maybe I had, anyway, this is how long it's been down. This is monitors of my websites. And of course, I was using the RedBlackBioStar. I have my websites on there. Really, I never used it as my main server. It used to be my main machine, but I used to use it as a playground, a testing ground for all different kinds of servers. Websites, really. Well, different kinds of servers too, media servers and stuff. But it still has all that stuff on there, and I have a updated version of my website on there. So anyway, it's been almost sites have been down since I had to shut it down, about 8 hours, and I'll close the browser until I need it again when I get the thing. I don't know if it was 3 days or a week ago when I put that other fan in there. Anyway, it shut itself down, the RedBlackBioStar here, and whenever I turned it back on, I thought maybe I had bumped the button. It's real easy to bump that button when you have. I always set my. I'm sitting there now. I have a box of protein bars and stuff sitting there, and I had gotten one. I thought maybe I bumped it. It's easy to bump either one of these and shut it down. It shut down. It didn't reboot, so it wasn't the reset button. The bottom bigger button you can't see. Power, on off button. But you usually have to hold it. You're supposed to have to hold it in for 4 seconds for it to shut down too. So that's the way it's set. I mean, it is set that way. So. And I don't think I bumped it for 4 seconds, that soft box. But so I think it may have shut itself down because it sensed that there was maybe a current overdraw with that fan, because it wasn't making noise or anything that I noticed. I was half out of it, and had to have a snack and stuff. I'm diabetic. Sometimes I have to have a snack. I eat one of those protein bars. If I don't feel like getting up, I'll go back to bed. So anyway, the way it was, and I just had to shut it down. I just hard shut it down and went back to sleep for another, 8 hours or something. I hadn't been asleep long enough yet, So anyway, I'm going to get over here and pull it out again, and I haven't set up. I decided to not even mess with the Net Pro Max, the Ethernet, the onboard. It's supposed to have got onboard Ethernet, and I didn't feel like pulling it out and working on it. I just haven't felt good. I haven't worked on anything for about 2 weeks, other than when I put that fan in that one. There, the RedBlackBioStar. When the Ethernet quit working on this one that day, a week or so ago, I just went ahead and turned that one on, and well, I ended up putting another fan in the door. I was just going to unplug the fan, but then I thought, well, it might overheat, and so anyway. I've never had so much trouble with I've run old machines as my servers for years and years, and I've never had so much trouble as I have been having lately with any of my machines. With old machines, you're going to have some troubles, but usually once, I've never had an onboard Ethernet go out, and I don't know if it's gone out or if I just can't hardly believe it's gone out. I think maybe Fedora, I have automatic updates set up on my servers, or on that one, on the Fedora 29 over here on the Net Pro Max. I was wondering if an automatic update broke the driver or something, but I just didn't feel like trying to work on it and figure it out. I tried for a little while, an hour or so, and I couldn't figure it out. So I'm gonna get this one and figure out where I want to put everything. Keep it out of the way. Oops. Trying not to lose that RJ 11 phone cable there. Let's see. And this is my USB to the camera, one of my cameras. Or keep it where it doesn't get drag the camera off of there. One of my phones. I just call them cameras because that's all I really use them for. Okay, so I have it, you know, I was looking at the frame in the shot and I thought, well, I didn't want to just have my head completely cut off, so I went up high where you can't really see the whole machine, but I thought last time I think my head was, anytime I was in the shot, I was completely cut off and it looked kind of weird, so. And if it goes to you know, well, I've got it set up over my work table too, so that if I want to set anything over there, it'll be right there. That's the other thing. I didn't want to back out further, and it would be too far away anyway. Everything's too far away already, you know. So, I have to pull it out to get to the screws because I think what screwdriver I want to use, because well, I can't, this door with the fan in it and the plexiglass cover, I really can't not to drop the screws. Tough. I don't think the magnet, yeah, the magnet's getting weak on this thing, screwdriver. With the plexiglass in the door down there, I actually hurt my shoulder. I couldn't figure out, I noticed my shoulder, it feels like it about half pulled out of joint on here, and I couldn't figure out what happened to it. And I think I remembered my little work table that has my toolbox in it. I always stack stuff on it, and it had getting where it's real hard to push in this carpet. And I finally remembered today, once I got up, I remembered one day that not too long ago, I tried to push it and I couldn't, felt my shoulder pop. And it hurt. So, as with things like that, a day or two later is when they seem to start bothering you the most, sometimes. So my shoulder's in a bad way too. It's not killing me right now. As long as I don't get it in the wrong position, it's okay. Anyway, I wanted to get this. Can't pull it out too far, it'll fall off. Plus all the cables. I want to try to do this without unplugging everything. And I remember that I don't know if my VGA cable, my VGA cable, that on I have a 4-port KVM switch. I can switch between 4 different computers, and it has USB and VGA. Well, the VGAs are already bad, the one that I got, but I'm using the HDMI out. This one actually has a, not HDMI, the DVI output. It actually has a DVI video card. And I'm using it. But now the USB, that day when I put that fan in there, the USB wouldn't work. So there we go. Oh, I didn't. Let's just slide it back on there and turn it on for a minute, and see if we can see anything. See, I guess I'll go ahead and switch over to that machine, so that, which one is it? 1? I think it's 1. And I'm going to turn it on, and it should make that noise right away. Yep. So I'll get my mic and put one of my mics and put it over here. Let's see if it sounds okay. Now that was the, let's get to the top one in the back. Now that's on the power supply, close to the power supply. Power supply is actually way up in there because it's too big for that box. It was a actual Dell branded power supply that was too big for the box that someone gave me. It's been a good power supply. I'm gonna see if I can get to where I can see the. Let's pull it off again. Well, that made it change its noises, so I'm pretty sure it's this side fan. I can't even get it to kind of stuck there. I'm gonna turn it back off. I was gonna see if it was. Oops. Yeah, I think I'm on the right port. Yeah. Okay. The mouse still doesn't work, so there's something wrong with the KVM's cable. Either the USB portion of the cable now on top of the. It's where I got it setting when my microphone's in the way, but my microphone don't come out of there. It's pretty well mounted, so. Pretty sure it's that fan. I can't believe that I put another fan in that, different fan, and it starts the same exact thing. Or does it? It's not that fan. It is a different fan. But I do know that the one I took off, now the mics, one of my mics is right up next to that fan. That should tell us for sure. Now I'm gonna just hard shut it down because my mouse don't work. I don't think the keyboard's working either. They're USB, so no, it won't work. I have to hard shut it down. I don't like doing that really, but. Okay, so guess what? My problem is another fan. The fan that I just replaced, though, I do know for sure that it was, it had problems because I tested it out of the machine, and it's a roller bearing fan, and it was, I have to drop everything. That cable is pretty long, but not quite as long as I need it right at this moment. I guess the machine just needs to come out and go onto the. Now my mic's it's coming down. I usually have it tied up. I can't get a hold of the, with just one hand, I can't get that off of there. I guess I'm making it much harder, trying to make it easier. I'm going to put it back on there. I just, all I'm avoiding is unplugging a few cables here, and it's turning into a catastrophe. Everything's falling and going every which way. So, I think it's time to take the darn thing out. I had a feeling I might want that workbench up and ready. So there we go. So, this thing. Oh, I gotta switch the switch. It doesn't switch automatically. I tried to set the monitor is supposed to do automatic input, but it doesn't ever work right. So we'll get on cams 1 and 2 while I'm this thing out of here and onto the. No, the bad thing about having this. See, normally I used to use my lapel mics. I have them plugged into one of my phone 3, and it would be in that little bag around my waist, and I was completely wireless. But since that battery went bad on that phone, just everything I got's going bad lately. So once that battery went bad on the phone, then let's see if I still got sound and everything working. Since that battery, yeah, it's okay. I've just been plugging it into my computer, the one I stream with. Okay, so let's get this out of here. USB wasn't doing anything anyway. Let's see, power. Ethernet. At least this stuff is, I've got it twisted to some other cables, so they won't go off down in the back of the desk. Monitor, get it off. This thing has a modem, regular old-fashioned modem, and a can't seem to find the clip on the RJ11 for the on the modem. That's what. There we go. And charging cable for my little flashlight. Anything else? Got that video card in there, but that I can take off out here. I don't actually have any cameras for it. It's a closed circuit. You could call it closed circuit TV video card. It's for get this thing moved over onto the go ahead and switch the camera view. It's gonna be bad, but I need to see the whole thing. And you can't see me anyway the way my other camera's aimed. Cables wrapping up on me. Okay, now maybe too low for as big as this thing is. It is. There it is. I don't have to go up too far, do I? That right there. Okay, now. There. Good enough. Okay. Now let's get this thing off of here. I'm on power cable that reaches my table down there, but whether I can get to it good or not, I don't know. Let's see. But this fan seemed just fine. I was trying to unplug that with one hand. See, there's it's an adapter that goes down to the fan header, and it's only a 2-wire, and then there's 2 more wires that are in the other other 2 pins. Oh, they go to the back fan. I've never seen one like that before. This machine's always been that way. I've seen it, I just forgot. That one seems fine, that 120mm fan in the back. Could be that one. Or it could be the one in the power supply. I'm beginning to think it may be the one in the power supply. Let's see if we can figure it out before I unplug this. I'll just lay it there this time. But I'm going to have to, I think with my stick here, I can pull that power cable out. And I don't have to have any other thing but power. Plug, see the power supply is all the way up in there. I did a custom mounting job on it. There, now. Now let's leave that like that. Then we can get to all the fans. I went ahead and I'll be taking a shower as soon as I get done with this. But sorry about all the coughing. Can't help it. These lapels, I've got a compressor on there luckily, but I can't, move away from the mics or anything. Okay, turn it on again and get a mic. Yeah, it's not this one over here. Oh no. It's the video card fan. I just spent a lot of time replacing that not too long ago. See there? I'm just touching it, the center of it with the screwdriver. I think I had two fans giving trouble. Then now this one's fine. Those others aren't real quiet. Now I can take out that video card to make sure. I was holding down the reset button, making it reset over and over. That's what's bad about trying to do that stuff blind. When you can't see what you're doing. I can't believe that. I had bought these 3 fans, video card fans, because it was cheaper to get this pack of 3 than it was to get 1, and they all looked identical, and I was willing to bet they were made by the same, they were made in the same way or by the same companies, and so I went ahead and bought that pack of 3. They took about a month to get here, you know, straight from slow boat from China. But I put one in my mom's video card, and then not long afterwards I figured out this one was bad. So I put one in here, and I had to, they were made to fit mom's video card. I'm trying to get that, these are AGP video cards. Gotta watch that, that's kind of delicately balanced. So there's a clip on the end you gotta pull out, that push down or pull up. Not sure which way you do it. And everything is sharp, just got poked. I don't remember which way you do it. Push them down and pull them out sideways or what. They definitely don't like to let go until you do them right, that's for sure. I think it's broke. There. I think there's a spring mechanism on there that's not working anymore on that thing. There we go. It's not broke, but its spring mechanism's not working right. Okay, so this is the fan making all that noise, I believe. Yeah, I know, because when I stopped it, it quit. But I don't know why it would. You wouldn't think. Yeah, I drilled holes and custom mounted it into this heat sink here. I thought about trying to just put a really big heat sink on here and no fan at all. And but it doesn't have very much. It was going to be so, well, I have a couple of different heat sinks off of different old machines, that the space in there is, there was one that would just barely make it, but I was a little bit worried about it touching and shorting out something on the back of this. I don't want to, that's a modem. I could take it out, but I don't want, I thought, well, in the future, I wouldn't want to accidentally short out something I put in there. Say, what if I took the modem out and I put in this video card or something? Or I didn't want to ruin, or actually what I might be doing is, if I think that's, look at it right now while I'm thinking about it. I think, no, that's standard PCI. I don't think, I thought there was at least one PCI, you know, X1 or X16 or whatever in there. I'm afraid those are just standard PCIs.
Anyway, I'll figure that out at the time. But I wanted to. I was thinking about putting a gigabit Ethernet card in here because it only has 100 megabit on board. Because it does. Not a real fast machine, but it's a dual core. It's only a dual core, but see, I've only got one. The only machine I have that's more than a dual core is that one I'm streaming on right now, the Lenovo Wi-Fi. That I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hard drives in there. And I was kind of thinking about putting my 2 big, and it is it does have SATAs. It's only got 2. I guess it's not a real good candidate. I was thinking about taking these out and putting in those 2 SATAs of my backup drives, taking them out of their USB case. They've been working fine. I finally did get them on a sidetrack. I finally did get everything backed up from the 5 terabyte to the 8 terabyte. I let it run every night for a week and finally finished. I haven't looked through and see if there's what might be missing or anything. And the 5 terabyte has been mounting every time I boot up. Since I took it out of the power strip. See, I used to turn the power strip off to protect them. You know, no power to them at all. When I would shut down for the night, and sometimes I guess I was a little slow. I would turn on the machine, the Lenovo Wi-Fi, and as long as you turn those drives on quick enough, you know, even if it's already started booting, it'll catch it and it'll be fine. But I guess there was times lately when I kept having more and more trouble with it not mounting, and it could have been that I was forgetting too long, and not getting it turned on soon enough. Okay, so let's get back to the fans. I can't believe this. Really watch that, it'll pull it out of there. I've had it done lots of times. Okay, so still got power to it. Got the video card out. So I'm gonna turn it on again. I think our bad noise will be gone. Had my fingers right next to that fan. My fingers were fine because there's covered on the back, but my thumb was close to the blades. There we go. I don't like doing that to my operating system though, you know, getting it going and then shutting it back down. But there's the area, there's the CPU fan, the 120 millimeter fan. The power supply outlet of the power supply fan, where it would be. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's where the fan is. I blew it out real good the last when I replaced this fan up here. This one's real quiet. It's fine. Working fine. I did forget to. Kept forgetting I was wanting to spray a little WD-40 in this fan. Actually, I could spray it in all of them that I can get to, but that one. Yep. The bushing or bearing, it doesn't have a bearing, it has a bushing. Nothing else you can see. I don't know if I've got it where you can see it or not. No. Okay. There we go. Yeah. I've got a delay, so it don't want to spin for nothing. It's wore out, it's gone. And you can clean them and take them apart and clean them. Some of them, I mean, these, I don't know. And I do have another one. Another brand new one. Tried to bought 3. Where are they? Oh, they're outside in a box. Now this computer will run with, yeah, it has onboard video. Gonna let it run for a little while. It will run, but you can't do much of anything with it without that video card. But I spent a long time working on that doggone video card. And that's a real pain in the butt. So I don't know, maybe I didn't do so good with my... Yeah, you might see that paper there on the, knocked loose my mic holding clip, holding it to my pants, trying so that I don't stepped on the cable, nearly falling down. Okay, I put some cardboard under there to make sure that my screws couldn't touch anything. My nuts, there's screws on top, nuts underneath to hold this thing together, to make sure that it couldn't short anything out on this circuit board. So, it was a lot of work. I do have another one. I just now remembered. I do not feel good enough to feel bad. So I don't feel good enough to work on this. Plus, I'm thinking, well, I can turn it. I can put this back in this spot, plug it all up, and it can be my server right now and get my websites back up without spending all, you know, and work on this later. And so I think I'll turn this down, off. I mean, it's fine. I think I will start lubricating the fans a little bit. Get me a little blue glove on the hand that's probably going to get WD-40 on it. I thought that was an awfully loud and I don't know why. That's exactly the same way it sounded last time when the when that video. Now that I figured it and I saw it again, I'm like, oh, that's the same. I wonder that. Usually these 80 millimeter or one, I don't think I've ever had, maybe I've had one 120 millimeter fan go bad. They don't usually make that high pitched squealing sound. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. So now I see. I always forget about that. I like to never figure this out the first time because I always forget that there's even a fan there. So what am I going to do? Okay, here we go. I'm going to set it like that. And the way that's mounted, I'll just squirt inside of the crack in there. Oh, there we go. Do it like that. And WD-40 is not really a lubricant, more of a cleaner. And it dissipates water really well. I actually saw something not just the other day. That was actually why it was invented. They said no backup of, you know, how much they really know, the people that were talking about it, but it's spraying. They were saying, oh, now it sprays when I hold it up in the air. That NASA invented it to dissipate water in some of their systems that kept getting water in it, getting condensation in it. So I put that, I knew it was going to run, so it did. But anyway, it has, I guess, some oil in it. And I've tried, on these fans when they get old, this last year I've been trying to fix a bunch of them. And I've tried, of course, I've always used WD-40. Tried Rust Buster. I tried, one time a long time ago, I tried Slick 50, if you remember that, for your engine. Because it's supposed to stick around a long time. Oh, I tried out years ago, I thought it would be the best thing. White lithium grease. That is the worst stuff to ever use for anything. I don't know what it's good for. I used to put it on my door hinges. Well, after a while, it dries up and gets stickier than axle grease. I mean, yeah, axle grease, you know, for your wheel bearings, not for your rear end, your differentials, but it gets stickier than wheel bearing grease, I guess we'd call it. But it's not just thick. It gets sticky and it gets harder than wheel bearing grease. It gets hard. And then all it does on a fan is just bring the thing to a halt. And cleaning that stuff out is the biggest pain in the butt. I cleaned up about 4 or 5 fans that I had, you know, lubricated. It's all over the door hinges in this house because I thought it would be good stuff when I bought it. I just really kind of went by the advertisements, which was a mistake, and how wonderful it was. And think it did everything bad that they said it wouldn't do. You know, getting hard over time, and it doesn't really take all that time, a few months. And this is in the house, not out in the heat, you know, outside. So yeah, that white lithium grease, and I've had more than one brand of it too. Don't use that crap; it's useless. I don't know what in the world. It's not even that good when it's brand new. It just doesn't work that well. And like I said, WD-40 works okay on fans for a while, but like if you've got one that's pretty bad shape, well, if you can't, really the best thing you can do is if it's a bushing, you know, brass or copper or whatever bushing, that you clean them, take them completely apart and clean them really well. And all I had to do was, like I said, use WD-40 and or Rust Buster. Rust Buster goes away too quick. It makes them work great right at the first, and then in a couple of days they're already squeaking again. But clean them and get this blade, get the blade out. It has the shaft on it, and then clean the hole. It doesn't have to. I would never sand them or anything like that. That would make them rough, and then they're, you know, going to be friction. But I would just roll up a little bit of paper towel and stick it through there with something like maybe something smaller than the hose on your WD-40. That's too big. But anyway, I was successfully got some to work for about a year, I would say, before they started giving trouble again by doing that. But you never really know until you try, because some of them are actually worn and damaged inside, and you can't see it, of course. Now you could get real serious. Well, I mean, okay, let's say you're serious about it. You get you a nice reamer of that exact right size, and you clean it out. Well, then now your hole's bigger, and so now it's going to wobble in the hole. There's just, even though the fan, I just hated it. You know, the motor still worked fine, but they, you know, they're binding and making noise. But really, I mean, I guess it's just something you're going to have to deal with, because, yeah, and just give up and get a new fan most of the time, because, I mean, if you won't spend a lot of time, that's the thing, you know, they're not as cheap as, they're really only worth $2 or $3 each at the most, and they generally want $7 to $15, $20 for them, and they're just not worth it to me. Trying to squirt that 120mm fan, I can't see the. Try a light and see if I can see. Still can't. I'm out of the picture too, aren't I? Just trying to work that thing. Let's see. I was trying to find the. I mean, you know, the shaft and everything, of course, is up in the center. But if you spray enough in the crack there we go. I think it's, no, like it either. There. Maybe I got. Spray enough up inside of there, you're going to get some in there in the center. I mean, these are fans that are working fine. I'm just trying to help them work longer. And now the figure out which way to turn this to where maybe I can get a squirt in it. Yeah. This is harder to get to. You don't really want a bunch of WD-40 in the heatsink, because it's just going to collect dust. Of course, it will. Well, it leaves a residue around long enough. And I'm just going to turn it. If I can get my. Okay. So my mic cable gets hung up. My glasses fall off. All good fun. Let's just flip it back down. I don't know if I got any in there where I wanted it or not. Let me stand it back up. I knew that would be a problem. all those pigtails sticking off of there. It ended up being a problem. Okay, I'm gonna throw this away before I get a mess everywhere. Oh yeah, that sprays both ways. I guess you've seen them. I bought this and didn't know that it did that until after I got it. But I just tried to spray it. Like it wouldn't work. Oh, I think I didn't really pay attention to it, and well, am I going to get the straw in there? And then I realized it flips up and all that. It's kind of cool. As long as it works good, that's pretty cool. Because you know how you always have trouble once first time you take that, you know, they used to always be taped to the side of the can. First time you take it off of there, you're very likely to end up losing it. You know, if you stick it back in that tape, it generally falls off again. Now the power supply. Let me see if I can see where it is. Where is it? Can't see any blades in there. I think it's up in the front or something. I was thinking I would spray some in there, but I don't think that's going to be of any use. I guess it's up in the front. Yeah, I feel the bigger vents up there. I can see the fan. Yeah, now I see it. I don't believe I would be able to get anywhere near where it needs to be. So I think I will not spray that one. I think if you're just spraying it all over the place. See, here's the thing: if it's not going in where the bushing is or bearing. Some of them have roller bearings, but I didn't finish talking about the bushings. You can actually work on. If the roller bearings wear out, they're gone. Now you could. I've got 3 took apart fans in a box over here with the red one, and the fan motor works good, and there's at least one in there that has bushings, and I was thinking maybe if the bushings were the same size, I mean bearings, roller bearings, I might actually try. You know, when I say roller bearings, I mean the ones with little ball bearings in them. And I think that's what most people tend to call them these days, is roller bearings. Those are not what you would call roller bearings in an automotive setup, but anyway, do not know why my little deal keeps, my clip comes off every minute or two here. I must be getting hung on this box. I want to put these, I have a twisty on here too. If I put that twisty on my belt loop, then I won't have it coming off on me. There we go. I don't know what else it'll do, but clip's not. Maybe I'll use the twisty and the clip. Oh, I see what I did. My twisty is supposed to be tighter on the cable in order to keep the cables from giving so much. Now it's wrapped around my foot. Alright, now I should quit complaining about all my problems and just do this. Okay, so gotta watch out about the sharpness. This is I like these cases here. I especially like the lights on them, but they're very sharp edges. They're cheaply made. If you buy a, like used to probably 2002, you bought a. I don't know about these. That's about when I started building computers for kids. So I don't know before that, but I do know I have plenty of old computers, and the older computers that were made by major IBM and major brands, they actually deburred the edges of their punch outs, and they weren't sharp everywhere. At least the places that you would be getting into, like where the power supply goes and the fans and stuff. These are really sharp. They'll cut the crap out of you. So I got tape. I put some electrical tape, red electrical tape on there to kind of warn me how dangerous that is. So trying to heal up from the last time I got in here. Doesn't show up very good. When I look at it close, I can't see it that good, but it's actually worse than I thought it was. I looked at it under my magnifying glass the other day. I was like, oh crap, pretty good scrapes. Anyway, oh, I think WD-40 must have got on that tape and I didn't know it. Really trying to let go. It was stuck okay before. That's what I'm sidetracking about now. So, but yeah, there's a VGA here, onboard VGA. It has 4 USBs, onboard NIC, you know, audio, and PC, PS2 mouse and keyboard. And this I could spray. Not sure. I think I'll just do it. A try is better than nothing, I guess. Let's do it with... No, that fan is pretty thick. Wait, there we go. Thing is I have no idea what side I'm on. What I'm, you know, what I'm spraying at or anything. But if I could get some inside of there, it would be nice. If I turn that, I was thinking about turning it up, taking that one out and spraying from the front, but and the good thing about WD-40 is it is flammable. I've used it for starter fluid many times. It does burn, but it's not like, you know, electrical cleaner and stuff like that. Electrical cleaner is good for cleaning your bushings and stuff, but then you do still need, I tried one time just using electrical cleaner and cleaning the bushings in the shaft. A lot of times there's crap on the shaft is all that really needs done with these fans, if they're not too badly worn. But electrical cleaner, that they still, when they're already to the point they're, you know, acting up, the electrical cleaner didn't, I ended up still needing to put it back together and had to take it back apart with it, you know. I could tell it was dragging when I tested it. So, thinking I could go ahead and, I'm gonna do what I was saying. I mean, there's no point in having it all apart. I said I wasn't going to spend forever working on it, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I should have took this off from the beginning. Every time I have this thing apart and I leave this on here, all it does is get hung, get yanked. It's bad on the card, it's bad on the cables. I've yanked it 3 or 4 times already, gotten it hung up on the edges of the table. Fingers don't want to hold the things for some reason today. I didn't ever get that loose. I thought it was loose. I had the one glove on because it was the one I was using to catch the WD-40. I'd always put this on here because when I leave it off, I tend to lose it. I don't even have cameras that'll go with it. But I usually used to didn't ever lose anything, but I'm forgetting where I put things these days and losing stuff. Okay, now we're going to get in here and get one of these off. Best thing is, I don't think my hand can go in there. No, it can't. Normally you push them from the back, but since I have that power supply in there where it is, I can't get to it. Maybe I can do it like this. There we go. They just snap in. There's our fan. Now that's what I figured. Got it more out of the picture instead of more in the picture. That was not much there. Now see, it's the wrong side of the fan though. To get it in the inside of it. That was actually not much. There's an extra cable for the 6-pin for, oh, that's for a video card. Well, it's actually only 5-pin, but it's for a video card. extra connector. I don't know why it's stuck up in there, but I don't have that kind of video card that uses that. It would do me absolutely zero good to spray from this side. It won't. There's no way I'm getting it into side the fan. So unless I got some in there the way I did it before, then I'm not in any kind of shape. Get this greasy glove off. Keep it for a while in case I need it. All right, so okay. I'm going to put it back together now, and oh, I just realized I won't be able to plug in that cable's all messed up. Well, see, I've been using the DVI cable, and now I don't have DVI because the video card. Flip this. Let's lay it down here. Flip my little glove back so I can use it if I. Okay, now. Oh yeah, no, that's right. I was thinking, I was having second thoughts about going and getting that other new fan. This is really tedious, screwing this all together. Actually, what I did was, the screws were a little long, and I screwed together, filed them, grinded them down with a little, with a grinder on my drill, I think it was, and sandpaper in the drill, and yeah, that's making noise when you just give it a little spin. Worn out. Of course, there's actually a hole to the shaft right there. I could spray stuff in it, but it doesn't really matter once they're that bad. Anyway, I had to make them really thin. They got so thin that they're like 100 thousandths or something like that, 150 thousandths thick now. And they got so thin that I had to glue them on with Loctite. And the nuts on the other side of the screws here. I did originally try, I actually drilled the hole small enough, like tap size, and screwed these screws in, and they did actually self-thread. It's really soft aluminum, and but they wore out before I got through working. I had to put nuts on there, so that's a major project, getting that other, even though I have the fan out there, major project getting it installed. I'm afraid it won't last. I mean, I hardly ever ran this thing until I needed to use it as my server, and then I ran it for a couple of months straight. So there you go. You get 2 or 3 months out of those fans, I guess. Continuous use. So the machine will still run and everything, but there's, like I said, there's a problem with my cables. I'm just going to hook them up and see if they'll work at all. I don't know if it's in the connectors. The problem is in the connectors or the cables. Well, I know the VGA cable is bad, but the USB, I don't know if it's bad or if it's the connector on the KVM switch. It may be, back over here looking at the cables, it may be the about to lose my, oh, that's another Ethernet cable that I have plugged in ready to use. Okay. Sorry, I'm off dealing with stuff here. I just remembered that I need to do something with these cables before I try to stick it back in here. Okay, now, move this. Okay, so what I think I'll do is just aim this thing. Oh, before I re-aim anything, oh, my camera moved, didn't it? Okay, so I wonder if I bumped it and moved it or what. Okay, so that'll be, make sure I didn't knock any other cables loose or anything. And my little adapter comes up off of that 4-pin. Oddly, that's really strange because, to me, because normally your 4-pin connectors, oh, I see. It's actually only a 3-pin connector, fan connector. And so what it's doing is the red one is 12 volts, and then the black ground has got 2 wires going into it, and then the other one, I can't even tell what color. It doesn't really matter. They don't stay with this color. So this motherboard must, that's the one going back here, so it must be 12 volts too. So this motherboard must actually be wired different, because usually the third wire is a sense wire to set the speed of, to set the speed of the fan. So yeah, they're not all, they're different. There is no standard as to how these, that's one thing I learned shopping for fans and trying to figure out, well, I had a 4-pin fan that I wanted to see if I could use it without, I had a brand new one, I wanted to see if I could use it. I was needing a CPU fan on this one of them, not this one, another one. And I did a bunch of learning, research, and different, the manufacturers do these. You may have 3 or 4 pin, but that doesn't mean that it's the same output. This is, I just now realized, this one actually is outputting. I guarantee you, it's outputting. Well, it's ground. There's a ground like normal, and then there's 12 volts here on one pin, center pin, and then the far, to me, left pin, another 12 volts, and it's going on this cable here. It's labeled, it's a red and black cable too, which 12 volts is yellow on computers though. All of the MOLEC connectors, the yellow is 12 volts, pretty much always. Anyway, going to this back fan. So that bit of draw on that one header, I would think. But this is that's not my problem. The problem is the fan's wore out, but you can feel it, that the bushings are worn out. That's not a bearing fan, it's a bushing fan. But okay, so before I even block it back up again, I'm going to turn it on one more time. I don't want to end up having real troubles after I've got it all put together. So yeah, let's do this again, since I've messed around with it, lubricated it, and done all that stuff. Okay, it's nice and quiet. See, I was thinking it was this fan. I thought I was thinking I would unplug it and just leave it out, and I was kind of worried it would overheat with 4 hard drives in it. But that's not even the problem. I couldn't believe that fan would just go out because it seemed to be working really well. It's only been running for 3 days to a week this time, and it was that. So all along, that's what happened with that video card last time. It would make noise and then quit, make noise and then quit. It was another reason. That, and I forgot there was even a fan down there, But yeah, this time I may try putting a heatsink on it because you don't. All the ones that don't have fans of this video card's only a 512 megabyte video card, but it has S-Video, VGA, and DVI. But being that it's 512 megabyte, it shouldn't be. Well, of course, since it's older, it may make more heat than a 1 gigabyte too, of a newer one. But that's loose as all get out. Okay. Tighten that up. Let that run for a minute while I tighten that up. So I think I'll just do it with the. That's gotten loose from me tightening up that DVI to it. Not gonna overdo it, just want to make sure it stays together good. Now there's one that was actually missing one of these on one of my machines that was causing me trouble. It's fine. I don't know that this WD-40 made any actual difference, you know, being any quieter or anything, but okay, so it'll run, and what I think I can do, I know, is just turn it on. I don't know, I might have to log in though. I'm not sure if this one will run, the web server will serve up with it in login screen, or if I'll have to log in. Most of them, you don't have to log in for the web server to run. It just runs if the machine's running. So I'll try that, see if it'll run. Server will run and get this, my website's back online, and then I can, what I'm going to do, never did get to that part, I'm going to go ahead and do what I kept thinking I should do for a long time. I'm going to put Door 29 Server Edition on that laptop I got and try to see if it'll work, if it'll run day and night and make a server. I'd really never thought a wet laptop would be good for that. It has a backup battery, you know, built in, but they're not meant to. They generally tend to overheat when you run them. You run them all day, they'll overheat, you know. But only running the server and not, you know, too much stuff, maybe it'll be all right. Oddly enough, when I got those two laptops, they both had servers on them. The person that, I saw the name of the person, they left them in a laundromat in a box, and a friend of mine found them who doesn't use computers, and he brought them to me. And it said, if you want them, take them. And they're full of viruses. They had web servers on them. The guy was a student and had been learning that stuff evidently. And Microsoft stuff, you know, he was running Windows and he was running Microsoft.net stuff and all this junk. But anyway, can't remember the exactly. Oh, when he had some courses on there for one of the Microsoft programming, web programming setups, not programming, but development software. Can't think of what it was called. I haven't ever used, well, I originally learned, well, Apache on Windows 98, but then 05 when I started getting into Linux, everything I know about all that's in Linux since then. So, forgotten did that. That's okay. It's going to have to be because I did it. Okay, we're going to get our camera back. Did it? Or pretty good. About like that. And you can see sort of see my work and sort of see me. And I'm going to go ahead and do a dual camera. Well, I'll switch to the other camera when well, let's do that now. First I need to hook up the cables, and I figured, well, might as well show what I'm actually doing here. If I can. Thought I could do this. It's not a wide enough space for this little tripod. There it is. I want to move. There we go. I don't have to spin it. Just there we go. Okay. Gonna help or hurt? It just makes it worse. Okay. Oh, and I forgot. I don't have this. There we go. Well, that's still good. Okay. If we can get everything hooked up. The modem, I might as well hook it up. I have to hook up the Ethernet for sure. And these are my cables on my KVM switch that I was talking about. See, this VGA is in, it's, you know, when cables get old, they has all its pins. No, yeah, it has all its pins. But when they get old, they tend to, the wires can break up on the inside. That's what I'm afraid's happened, because I kept forgetting I did pull on this pretty hard without thinking. The day that I got it out last time. And see which way that thing is pointing. I'm gonna leave this unplugged until it boots up and see if that helps, because that's one thing I kept forgetting to try. Sometimes the USB gets funky, gets cranky. Under there, you can't see where my hands are right now, but that's pretty loose. They're all loose. But I think I'll go, yeah, let's go ahead and leave it unplugged. Power on it. And leave it sticking out like that. And get the then we'll switch to both cameras now. Okay, so I'm going to get my switch over to that one. Then watch and see if we can get this cable in a good place where it'll work. It was working until like I said, it was working until I pulled it out and put it back. And I do remember doing a dumb thing, pulling pretty hard on that cable, trying to get more slack in the cable. Because it was kind of wrapped up in other cables. And I'll turn it on. And if I get, I don't have any video. Should have some by now. Oh, it may be on. I think I just put it on DVI. I sure did. I'll sit there and put it on DVI because that's what I'm used to doing on that one. What this cable would do, it generally worked, but everything would look purple. So any video though. It could be that that portion of the KVM switch is gone bad completely. That would be bad. It did tend to. I don't think it helped to leave that out. I'll plug the USB in. But my mouse lights up. It has a red light on it, and it's not lighting up. So let's try moving it to a different. Moving it to the one that's on the machine I'm streaming from. And then now lights up red like it should. Everything's good there. Okay. Now. Well, what I can do is yeah, we got no video, or I think maybe that portion of that whole section of the switches quit working, because I already kind of wiggled this cables around a bunch and everything. last time. I'll do it again just to see. But well, like I said, I could have ruined, but I used to always get VGA, just not good VGA. Now I do have, get it to reach, but the thing is, I don't want to leave it that way. But the cable that is actually plugged into the that Pro Max, it's not being used, and I could plug it in there. If it'll reach back over here, it's tangled up. I remember that. So I think before I do that, oh, I didn't put that video thing on there. I don't know if I want to put it on there or what. Guess I will, because like I said, I'll probably lose it if I don't. If I can't even see it to get into the BIOS, it may be that I need to turn the tell the BIOS to use the onboard only or something. Normally you can set them on, you know, PCI or AGP first, and all you got to do is just plug in the onboard and it'll just work normally. That's it's plugged in and it ain't working. And since the USB didn't work last time either, it makes me think that I may have more trouble than I've ever had with it. This switch before. I'm gonna put it back in its spot for now, and just get back on my KVM switch. Moves real easily. Put it back in its place. And okay. Now switch back to the machine. It's not sitting in its place. Get my. I think I better put my camera back where I normally want it. Afraid it's gonna fall. I don't. KVM switch usually stays a little better there. I have to use the computer to kind of keep it in place. I have to shove, if I don't, then when I try to push the button, it just shoves the KVM switch. Okay, now back to normal here, sort of. So I'm going to get on the desktop now, and video seems to be doing good. My backup video. Let's get on the web browser and check my. I should be back on my website. Should be back online. It should be done booting by now. Even though I don't have video or USB control over it. If none of that works, well, I do have PS2. I have a PS2 mouse and keyboards around here I could use. Just thought of that. I have a mouse sitting here on my desk that usually goes to another machine that I never turn on. That and I could plug into there. And afraid that section of the switch may have died or
Could just be both cables, both ends of, both of the cables are just completely bad now. Restore previous set back to. I'll quit jumping around. I can click where I need. So, I've been up for 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Okay, so it works like that. So I don't have to spend a lot of time. Now this one doesn't check but every 30 minutes or so, but I can do a manual. There we go. So I like to do screenshots of important things like this. So that. All right, so it does what I thought it would. So it's not logged in, but it doesn't need to be logged in. It's serving up my website. And now the next thing I'll need to do, I think, is think this through here. I think I'll close these now. What I've been thinking I really need to do is go ahead and set up Fedora 29 server on that laptop. It'll be quiet for one thing, and I don't know how much heat a laptop will put into a room running all the time. It might end up being about as, I don't think it'd be near as much as a desktop. It's a decent machine. It's a 2 gigahertz dual core, Intel dual core with what do I have in it? I think I've got 2 gig of RAM in it. That's enough for a web server. That's way more than the Net Pro Max. It's a single core. Well, it's 2.8 gigahertz, but it's a single core. But for a web, just serving up websites, single core is just fine. It's great. It does make enough heat in here and enough noise, bother me. And I think this RedBlackBioStar, I was talking earlier about how I woke up hot and sick, or did I say I woke up hot and sick every day it's been on, all these days I've been sleeping in the daytime. Hot and no air to breathe, That's only a 1.8 gigahertz dual core, but it has 4 hard drives in it. And I think those hard drives, you wouldn't believe how much more heat just adding another hard drive does to how much heat a machine puts. Hard drives get hot. They get so hot sometimes. Even when you see, like if you look in the BIOS or whatever you got to see the temperature of the machine itself, it'll be fine, 195 or 100 degrees or something Fahrenheit. I think in the Celsius, what it would be. But the hard drives will get so hot you cannot keep your hand on them more than about 10 seconds sometimes. But this case, with all the fans I have in it, well, of course there's one missing now for as a video card fan, but it's really just to cool the video card. But I'm sure it makes some difference in the case. But anyway, ever since I put that big 120 millimeter fan in it, one thing, that fan's a lot quieter than the old 80 millimeter I used to have in there. But with it's a big open case, and ever since I put that power supply in there, and it doesn't go up into its slot, so the hole, there's a 4 by 5 inch hole just letting hot air out of the top of it. That's actually fantastic. So it's got 3 fans in it right at the moment, and it had 4 with that fan on that was making noise on the went blank completely. Anyway, it shouldn't get hot. Okay, now I can't check it until I figure out how to get video out of it, and everything. But go ahead and try the switch or 2 again. I'm going to switch over to it again. What happens sometimes, has happened for years with this switch, is when you switch over to it, if your mouse doesn't start working pretty soon, within 30 seconds or so, then you can just switch off to another machine that is working, and then switch back and it starts working again. But I really could have just completely broke those cables I remember pulling pretty hard on that thing, not thinking about how bad that could be. Like I said, I could get over here and dig all, I'd have to take all that stuff off the top of that Net Pro Max and get to the back of it and get the cables off of it and bring them over here and plug them into this. And then I can, control the machine and see the video, I'm sure. Just unless there's some kind of problem with the video not showing up, on boot. The only way I could fix that is to put that video card back in there, plug it up, and change the BIOS settings. But as new as this machine is in my perspective of machines, I just can't imagine that what I've always done is been able, I don't remember, I think maybe I ran into a time or two where a machine, you had to set it to onboard for onboard to work, and if you had a video card plugged in, you had to set it, of course, to video card. PCI first. Usually it's like PCI first and then onboard second, or the other way around. And anyway, I'm sure it's set on PCI first, or I don't think they usually say VGA. AGP. They don't put AGP in there. They just say PCI. Even though at the time that was I think they just didn't bother to, upgrade the BIOS words in the BIOS to say, even though it worked with AGP, to say AGP. Anyway, it is not working. Sometimes you can sit there long enough, it'll begin to work. I can try wiggling the cables a little bit, I guess. Well, now I've got everything back in its place. Real easy to knock this off of here. It's getting really hot in here. Speaking of, I don't have my window open. It's only 76.3, but right now I'm in here. I see my thermometer. But with the the heater to the house just came on. I can feel all that heat pouring in on me. And jumping up and down and working. Well, the thing is, you get that feeling like there's just no air to breathe. That's what I'm getting. Anyway, like I said, I haven't been feeling good, and I'm really getting kind of half worn out. So I may have to. But I really want to continue if I possibly can. That's what I'm thinking. If I can go ahead and get that laptop out, get it. As long as things don't go trouble with the hardware, then I should be able to install Fedora 29 on it. With it shouldn't take. I hate to say it because how famous last words, but usually I should be able to get it up and running in an hour or so. It's going to take longer than that to dig things out and do this and that, but I don't know where I'm going to set it. Well, you can see here in this view, see where my orange D-Link router is. That's underneath it is the only place I can think to set it. Well, that means though that the lid needs to be shut, because you can't just set the router on the keyboard to be punching keys, Well, with it shut, I'm afraid it'll overheat. And almost every time I've tried to run a laptop with the lid shut, it gets hot. Because I think they depend on heat coming out from the keys, basically, around them anyway. So the keyboards are really solid. There's a solid sheet metal cover over them. There's a separate unit that comes out, and most of them, all the ones I've got that I've had out, they're in bed. They're set into a solid sheet metal. Formed sheet metal case cover of their own. But anyway, you can feel the heat coming. You can feel the heat coming up out of the keyboard, like on the. I'm feeling. I was over there for the Dell 6000 when I'm monitoring my live stream. When I put my hand over there, I can feel that heat. And every time I've tried to shut a machine down, shut it when it was doing any kind of work. Usually I was doing something like video work or whatever. I was using it to monitor my live stream, and then I'll shut the lid for a minute because it's in the way. And then the next thing I know, I hear it's, the fan running full blast, and you open it up and the heat just comes out of there and the thing about ready to shut itself down, you know. This one actually hasn't. It's that Dell 1525 that would do that. This is a single core. The one I'm using to monitor a stream with is a single core, and it is actually, I like it for that. It's quiet. And you couldn't do anything else on it. You know, it's all it can handle. I can usually leave after a few hours, I'll have to reboot it. You know, about after 2 to 3 hours. Usually I have to reboot it because it just can't. You know, it gets the cache and the memory and everything else all full. And but it's running the Bane 8, which is a lot lighter on the resource usage than any Fedora since 14. So, and I would just use 14 on everything because I love Fedora 14. That's what's on that RedBlackBioStar. But yeah, the web browsers won't work. You know, Firefox doesn't support 14 anymore for the last 2, 3, 4 years now. I used it all the way up until Fedora 23 when I finally had to give up. But Fedora 2014 on that RedBlackBioStar. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to have a break, and of course it would be kind of silly to keep on and on. And, you know, when you change subjects, you might as well make a new video for sure. And I'll reboot everything, like I was just talking about. But yeah, I don't like things half done, but that has my website back up and running, so that's good. Now I don't have like the worry of I hate my website being having if it's down. And so now it's up, and if I get that laptop and set up and get Fedora 29 server on it, just basic server, just like it comes, no GUI, no nothing. I don't have enough room on my. Let's see, there it is. It's up under the keyboard. Acid dust. This house is so dusty. Keyboard is on and plugged into the wireless, and it's controlling the laptop. Okay, so what I was getting is this: I have a micro SD card in a standard size USB a standard size SD card adapter. It's a 32 gigabyte. That's just, and I put Fedora 29 on a 30 gigabyte hard drive, and then I didn't have enough space to add any GUI or anything, and so I didn't like that. So I put, that was in the Net Pro Max, so then I put the 80 gig in there and did what I wanted, and then the stupid onboard network card quit working. And I could put, all I have is a couple of 100 megabit network cards I could put in there, but I'd rather go ahead and try to figure out if that's really bad, you know, not put a card in it. And it's noisy and makes heat. So the laptop, what I almost did it one day. I almost just went ahead and put Fedora 29 server on it, and then changed my decided it was, you know, I should just stick with getting the Net Pro Max ready, because my whole plan was to put it back out in the garage and run it off the. But that also means, well, that route, that old Linksys router is about to die out there, so no telling it could die a day after I put it out there. Never know. And so my TP-Link router, I was going to put DDWRT on it and make it the wireless repeater to put out there in place of the Linksys. Another whole day or 2 or 3 project. So should be a one-day project. But that's what my next step was supposed to be until this thing quit working the other day. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out for sure what it is. I'm tired and my brain's moving slow. Tired and like I said, I just really still don't feel good. I guess I'm better today. Either I'm better or I'm just pushing harder because the website went down. But I'm having trouble thinking clearly. So, but anyway, that worked. and that's working. And that'll be a whole nother project, figuring out what's going on with the, you know, the video for that. And those cables that I was talking about on the Net Pro Max, I will have to take those off of the USB and the VGA. I'll have to take them off of it, plug them into that laptop. And like I said, about the only place, I'm either going to have to set it right up there underneath. That's the thickness of the laptop with the lid shut is about the maximum more that thing can raise up. But it's got such a short power cable. Now, the other day I was thinking I had another power strip that I could plug in and put it up here, but actually it's in use. I've remembered finally. Right there, it's my power supply amp is plugged into it. Because I've got two good power strips that would be good, except for the switches went out. And they're out in the garage. I need to. I looked for switches and I never found any. I finally found a site where they have them for a decent price, $1 to $3. Same switches you pay $5 to $10. Some people want, you know, on Amazon. You got to watch out on Amazon. $5 to $10 for a freaking switch for a power, you know, for a power strip. I want the lighted ones because I like to know when they're on and when they're off just by looking at them. But well, the prices aren't that different, lighted or unlighted anyway. But I haven't been able to do. Didn't even bother ordering them because I didn't know when. But okay, now what did I just figure out? Yeah. So anyway, y'all still have to get all that junk down from there and do all that. Get to those. VGA and the USB, they both work fine. The ones that are on the Net Pro Max, and they're on another port on the KVM switch, which I don't. Probably that port's not bad. It's probably just that cable has finally had it, but oddly, you know, both of USB. Well, I guess it's not that odd because I remember pulling really hard on that, thinking all of a sudden it hit me. Why are you doing that? You could break that. You know, you could damage it. I think I probably already damaged it before it hit. Probably completely pulled the little tiny, they're just tiny little wires in there. Probably broke them. Well, they were probably, you know, the more, it's kind of funny, even if you don't bend something, if you bend a cable back and forth a lot, the copper will break. But even if they just stay like bent, a certain position for a long period of time, I've noticed over the years, and then, you know, you don't take it loose and you do like what I was doing today, moving that computer around. Well, and then that straightens it out. Sometimes just doing that once every year or two will break the copper strands. And, you know, they're stranded. They're not solid core. And it'll break 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally you get down to there's one left. And then, you know, sometimes they'll be broken, but as long as they touch, they'll work. And that's why you can wiggle a cable around. You know, you get it in one position, they're apart. You get it in another position, and they're together again. It works. These are all molded, and they're all just really, really hard to repair. I mean, the older ones, they used to be screwed together, and you could take them apart, cut off, you know, 1 or 2 inches of the wire, and then rewire it, and back in business. Still a pretty painstaking little job to do, but you always used to do it. But I've repaired some of these molded ones by carving them up until you could get to the. You have to those you always have to. Well, most of any of these kind of cables, you're gonna have to resolder them. There's no screw down terminals on them or anything like that. Anyway, buying connectors usually ends up costing 3/4 of the amount of buying a whole cable. So. But this is a specialized cable, these KVM cables. That's why I've never bought any, because they're expensive. You end up spending half or more of the cost of a whole new KVM switch. And I paid $99 for that KVM switch about, you know, I think I've had that thing for about 18 years. A good switch. Or it was for all these years. So anyway. Quit jabbering on about it. I think I figured out what to do. That's what I'm going to aim for. I'll reboot everything. Oh, I'm going to have to eat lunch. Yeah. Reboot everything, have lunch. And then I just remembered my charging cable. This particular machine will charge things. It has power when it's not running, so I always use it for this light. It's a light and a weather radio, so I always leave it plugged in. Now you see, I don't know if you can see that it's red. I'm seeing, you can't see it, I'm sure. It's red, the charging indicator, and that means that there's not enough power going to it. But after a while, it should get back to normal. It usually does. Make sure it stays charged up. And yeah, you can't see that too much. That bar mic is waving. If you could possibly see, kind of see. I guess when I put my finger up there, you might be able to see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it hasn't turned. It usually turns green pretty soon. I've noticed. Like I said, it charges even when normally it stays green most of the time, but I've noticed it goes red once in a while the last few days. Well, the machine was running though. I was going to say when the machine wasn't running, but no, the machine was running. I think when the machine is running, there's more demand on the power supply. I could try plugging it into a different port. I don't know if that would make any. Hasn't yet. I'll just leave it. I think all four of those are all on the same leg of the power supply. What do they call that? Rail of the power supply. But well, since that didn't make any difference, yeah, I'm wearing my. I'm just wondering if. Here's what I can do. There is. What happens with these machines is over time, sometimes the female connectors in the machine will get broken, and if you plug something into them, they will cause the whole connector, both, you know, they're in pairs, it will cause both of them to not work. Basically, I guess they're shorted, and I guess the power supply has enough protection in it, it doesn't blow anything out. But sometimes moving them around, sometimes you can tell by wiggling them if they're loose, but those all feel fine. There may be nothing wrong with them, but I've got many different machines with specific problems that, like I just remember the IBM, there's only like 2 ports left on the back of it that work. Oh, it's green now. So what I did was, I'm pointing at it now, be able to see it if I turn it. It's what I did is I finally put it in the port. They're right up together, all 4 of them. So I put it in the top one and it could be that there's a short in that KVM cable too, and it could be causing. It could have been causing that USB to not work. I didn't think about that. I should unplug those KVM cables since they're not working. They could be causing trouble. Let's try one more time before I do that. Yeah, since they don't work, I think I'll unplug them. For all I know, they could be shorted. They could be broken inside and shorted. Yeah, the USB doesn't work, and the VGA doesn't work. That I don't remember anymore. Maybe that VGA has not been working at all for a long time, for all I can remember. Yeah, that's not working. So back in. Back up there and unplug those. I think maybe that would be a better idea than leaving them plugged in. I was just leaving them, just kind of hoping they would work, you know, at some point. But I don't think that's a good idea now. The more I think about it. Cable. They're bad about falling behind the desk. Well, this one, none of that works anyway, so. Okay. Now, if we're on the desk, well, this one, none of that works anyway. That's what I'll do. I'll eat lunch, reboot everything, and then I will actually get out that laptop and try putting that Fedora 29 on it, and then I can turn that one off, and I'll have to deal with all that cable problems. I may end up having to find me a KVM if that. Well, I'll take one of the good cables and plug it into that port. That's what I need to do. Take one of the good cables, plug it into that port, make sure that it does work. If it does, then I can order a cable. If it doesn't, I guess I'll be in the market for a new KVM switch. All right. Well, at least I accomplished. I got my server back up. All right. Well, I'm back later. Hopefully, here after I eat lunch, I'll be doing all right enough to go ahead and do what I'm talking about with the laptop. Okay. Bye bye.